Hello BYU Cougar fans, it's the editor from BlueCougarFootball.com, and we're talking Poinsettia Bowl today. Happy to see BYU get its fourth consecutive bowl win, 23-6 over the San Diego State Aztecs. A lot of good things from the game, kind of a microcosm of the whole 2012 season, if you ask me. In that game, the defense dominated. Riley Nelson did what he does that has brought him such criticism this year. But at the same time, he had at least one good play, that 13-yard run that picked up a first down and kept his lone drive going. So you kind of had a mixed bag, and then the offense, struggled, but did enough to contribute and help BYU win. Should have done more. But also, you have to point out that the field was wet to start the game, at least from the rain for the last couple of days, and those wet conditions really had a I think it had a big impact on the way BYU started, especially on offense. You saw their wide receivers slipping all over the field, and even on defense, you saw guys slipping and falling, couldn't break down and make tackles, which helps San Diego State move the ball the way they did and get a couple field goals there early on. So that was very frustrating to see in the beginning. I was afraid that would end up costing BYU the game. Luckily, it didn't, and we can celebrate another bowl win. But lots of great things to take away from the game. Let's never mind the fact we'll address that later about the season as a whole. Let's stick with the game. It was a great game. I mean, BYU has another quality win this year. You can't discount San Diego State for whatever reason that you want to, be it their a former Mountain West Conference opponent, or whatever reason you want to come up with. They had 9 wins, had a very good offense, a solid defense. They beat Boise State in Boise. And Boise State, they're a 10-win team this year. They had only 3 losses. Their only losses this year were to good teams. Fresno State, co-champs of the Mountain West, 9-win team. If they win their bowl, they'll be a 10-win team. San Jose State, a team that beat BYU, 10-win team. In the top 25 of the final BCS standings. And then Washington, a team that knocked off 2 top 10 teams this year. So we should be happy about that. BYU this year has 2 wins against quality opponents. Forget the names. I mean, they were good teams, good wins, something that BYU hasn't done the last couple of years. One of the big hits against Bronco, but we did it. And, just as much as he's gotten criticism for not doing it, he deserves the criticism and recognition for doing it. And this team deserves it. So, lots of praise goes to the defense. It kind of didn't feel like it. That was one thing I thought during the game. It didn't feel like that they were having one of their great defensive performances, at least through the first 3 quarters. But, the final stats bear it out. Just 6 points allowed, a Poinsettia Bowl record. 5 turnovers forced. I haven't gone back and checked, but I'm pretty sure that's a season high. Only 263 total yards allowed, which is less than the season average by just a couple yards. Only 2 of 15 on third down conversions for San Diego State. That could push BYU to be the best in the nation at on third down defense after all the bowls are done. And, of course, the 2 defensive touchdowns by Kyle Van Noy, which essentially won the game for us. So it was a fitting end for this season, with the defense dominating, some offensive struggles, but at the same time, Cody Hoffman had over 100 yards receiving, set a Poinsettia Bowl record with 10 receptions. And I really wish I could have seen that we could see how well Lark would have done without the wet field and without so many dropped passes. I mean, we'll see if I want to go back. I want to count it up, how many really bad throws Lark made, because his stats look average, but a lot of it had to do, like I said, with receivers falling down, with the receivers dropping passes. So I'm interested in knowing how many of his 42 pass attempts were bad throws, like that one interception he threw on the pop fly that looked like a punt. That was really off the back of his foot, which was really a bad decision, bad throw. But how many other throws were bad throws like that, or because his completion percentage could have been a lot higher, his yards could have been a lot higher, and if it weren't for the wet field and weren't for receivers dropping passes. But you got to credit to him. He made a great pass to Devin Mahina there at the end of the first half, when BYU really needed some momentum, really needed some points, and that did it. I mean, it's amazing what even just a field goal at the end of the first half will do to change the momentum for the second half, and to help a team win a game, even if they're behind still at halftime, or they've struggled the whole first half. So that was huge, that pass to Devin Mahina to get BYU into field goal range. Another huge play, and a lot of credit goes to Riker Matthews. I haven't been too high on him this season for a couple of plays there early in the year, jumping off sides or a false start against Utah on the first series of the game that negated a fourth down conversion. And I think he might have been the one who got that penalty in Boise on the 1 yard line that pushed BYU back 15 yards, and then Riley Nelson threw his first interception in that game. So I was kind of down on Riker Matthews this year, but he showed a lot of hustle there on that interception thrown by Riley Nelson. And that was the Matt Reynolds play of this bowl. When Matt Reynolds, without a helmet, took out the Tulsa defender to free up Nelson to throw that touchdown right before halftime. Riker Matthews' hustle that ended up drawing the penalty on that interception by Riley Nelson to negate the touchdown. That was just huge. San Diego State was going to go up 13-0 and totally take control of the game. Instead, it stays 6-0. They're back on the 29-yard line, and they end up getting no points out of that drive. They have to punt the ball because the defense played well. San Diego State also was called for a holding penalty. So if Matthews, wants to be lazy and not try and chase down the defender, because, hey, let's be realistic. How on earth is an offensive lineman going to chase down a San Diego State linebacker or defensive back? It's just not going to happen. But he made the effort and got in position where that San Diego State player thought he had to take him out, and it totally changed the game. He deserves major props for that. Now, before we get off that, the Riley Nelson interception, I've seen a lot of people talking about it. What I saw was that was a great play by the San Diego State defender. Rosapo did not drop the ball. It wasn't a bad throw by Nelson. It was right in the breadbasket. But the defender, he made a great play, reached around, and he actually got his hand in there and he knocked the ball out. Before Apo could get his hands on it, that defender, he had his hands between Apo's hands, and he hit the ball out. And San Diego State was fortunate to have another defender right there to catch the deflection. So it was an accurate pass. Apo never touched the ball. Now, if we want to get into a discussion, well, is it Riley's fault because Riley can't throw anything deeper than that? I'm not going to get into that discussion. I'll save that for somebody else if you're that set on blaming Riley for everything. So let's see. Another player who deserves major props, Riley Stevenson. He's had a sensational season. Had a couple bad punts there in the early going. I don't know if wet field conditions had something to do with that as well, or what. But he had a couple short punts, which was very uncharacteristic for him this year. But then, time after time, he pinned San Diego State deep. When I say deep, I mean 1 yard line, 2 yard line, 3 yard line. Him and Daniel Sorensen, they were tuned in. They had everything going right. I mean, time and time again, we're punting from inside the 40-yard line. But we played the field position game, and it paid off big time. Riley Stevenson, great punter, great season. I just hope whoever comes after him next year is going to be able to do 80% of the job that he's done. Again, that's another player. Probably don't win without what he did. Frustrating on offense to see the play calling. I don't know how many times Dolman was planning to run the ball into the middle of the line just to see Jamal Williams get 1 yard, 2 yards, no yards. I mean, obviously, and I knew it before going into the game, we can't run up the middle. That's something we haven't been able to do all year, at least the last couple of games for sure. So I understand you want to run the ball, keep the defense honest. You have to run the ball some, but we could have had some better run plays called. Run it outside, run it off the edge of the line. Give Williams a lead blocker or something. Let's have some better play calling. Even the pass plays, though, I wasn't very satisfied with. I don't know how we weren't able to throw the ball better, deeper downfield. I mean, it's not like Lark can't throw the ball downfield. So, I mean, I'd been impressed with Dolman the last half of the season and the play calling, his game plans, but I was kind of frustrated again watching what happened tonight. Or not tonight, Thursday night. As far as coaching goes, that's my only big complaint is on the coaching. Defense. Now onto the defense. The Craig Bills, huge hit. I mean, obviously that third down pass was going to be incomplete anyways, but I love the way Bills hit the guy, laid into him. The defense needed to be physical, and they were, and that won the game for BYU. Very physical. Ezekiel Ansah, he got that interception. That was awesome. That was awesome for him in his last game to get an interception. Totally loved watching him this season. He deserved that interception. He deserves he deserves praise and accolades. I mean, wish we could have him for another year. I mean, he's just amazing. The potential he has, the talent, the natural abilities. Brandon Ogletree, great way for him to finish his career. Leading tackler once again, 10 tackles, and he had that huge hit on San Diego State's running back. I think he got a concussion. I really believe he got a concussion. That's why he wasn't playing the rest of the game. San Diego State can say whatever they wanted to say. Don't tell me it's because his carries were getting too high. Come on, it's the last game of the season. What are you worried about? Who cares if he carries the ball 30 times? You want to win the game. But I really think he got a concussion there. If not on that play, then on his one other carry that came after that. But, credit the BYU defense for being physical with him and knocking him out of the game. It was kind of weird the way that he would get one good run. He'd have a 7-yard run, a 5-yard run, a 12-yard run, and then BYU would bottle him up with a bad run. It seemed like that's how it went: one good run, one bad run, and so in the end it evened out. He only averaged 4.3 yards a carry, which is pretty good defense against a good running back like that. But again, it's one of those things you didn't really feel like it was that good because, you saw him getting so many good plays instead of rather, always just 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards at the longest. But it was great seeing Alani Fua get an interception. I'm excited to see him at outside linebacker next year and in the future. He's just a freshman, if I remember, redshirt freshman. I have high hopes and high expectations for him. But of course, the big man on defense, Kyle Van Noy. I think, hands down, the best defensive performance ever by a BYU football player, and possibly by any defensive player in the history of college football. I mean, just the 2 touchdowns alone could validate that statement. Because how many defenders score 2 touchdowns in a game? And touchdowns are really the biggest thing that matters. But not just that. I mean, he had 8 tackles. That's a good number of tackles. A lot of tackles for one game. 8 tackles, 1.5 sacks, fumble forced, fumble recovered, interception, 3.5 tackles for loss. He blocked a punt. I mean, he did everything, almost everything. And that's been his signature. His athleticism has allowed him to do everything, and he did not just a little. It's not like, okay, he got 2 tackles, he got 1 sack, he got more than 1 sack, 1.5 sacks, 3.5 tackles for loss, 8 tackles overall. He was incredible. I don't expect him to come back next year. I've already, I think the writing's on the wall. It's done for me. He's gone. He did, and you can't fault him. So it's an amazing way to go out. An amazing performance. And I mean, he's got a legacy that can that will last forever at BYU. He won the Ole Miss game for BYU last year, and he won this game for us. I don't know how many defenders you can say that they won the game for a team twice. Literally won the game. So just a few other notes here to wrap it up. Amazing. 13 points in 17 seconds for BYU on those back-to-back turnovers by San Diego State. And completely changed the game. Oh, but yeah, that interception by Lark down at the goal line that Hoffman dropped. I would have gone to Wilson on the opposite side in the slot. That's what I was saying before when I saw the way BYU lined up. You have to know the BYU is going to throw the ball to Hoffman. He had caught, I think, like 3 passes on that drive already. So, San Diego State's keying on Hoffman. That would have left, you could have designed a play, Wilson would have been left wide open for a touchdown. But, I kind of like the way things played out after that very next play. After that interception was Van Noy's first touchdown. But, it's something you want to see, where the quarterback and the offensive coordinator, they've got, they have this understanding. So that, I'd like to see that improve for BYU. And yeah, I think Hoffman should come back next year. But even with him back, we need better ball distribution in the passing game. We can't go a third year in a row where Hoffman is catching nearly half of the passes in a game, he's a great receiver. He deserves, to get passes thrown his way. But we need to have better ball distribution. Jamal Williams could have been involved in the passing game better. He's a great asset in the passing game. He's caught several passes. He's gone a long ways this year. When he gets that ball in the open field, he can make something happen. So I don't know how he wasn't involved in the passing game more. BYU's got to find ways to do that. And so those are my thoughts on the Poinsettia Bowl. I know this was a little longer than normal, but hey, it's the last game of the year. I wanted to make sure I got everything out there. And happy to see BYU at 8-5. But I really think, I really hope that, this great bowl game doesn't, take anything away from the players and the coaches as far as, working on those things that need to be worked on. That we saw this year, BYU's got a long ways to go to be where we need to be. So a lot of work needs to be done this off season, but we'll talk about that more starting in January. Don't go anywhere because Blue Cougar football continues BYU football coverage all year long. Have a goal to have something new up every day, Monday through Friday during the off season, just like last year. And so again, great win for BYU. Good way to end the year, and already looking forward for next year. Go Cougars.